Alright, welcome back to VectorSigma.info. Godfather.
To R1.
He just wants to show all his shirts.
Nice, huh?
How you doing today, Scott?
Good.
Alright, so we're here to talk the season
Yep.
and the cards of the next wave. And
Siege 2
Energon.
cards.
Yeah, Siege 2 cards, and we'll talk a little bit about the announcement of Energon.
Sure.
So, first thing, how did we did it all, both of us. We were at Origins, we were at Gen Con, we played in Energon Invitational qualifiers. How'd you feel about this season?
It was fun. Yeah. I guess. And we'll go over this going forward. I think there was. I guess I'm used to just a bigger, smaller number of larger events.
Okay.
So, I think it depends on how you want to judge how the season went, from a turnout perspective. You can't be in two places at once, but I also think that in this game, because for most people it wasn't their first, for some people it was their first card game, but for other people that I've talked to, it's I gave up on my super competitive card game and now I'm trying to play this competitive, and so life comes into play, and so it's well, I can do this week, but then I can't do next week, or I can't do the next 2 weeks. So I think I would rather have maybe one or two a month in an area instead of just shotgun. Everybody that got a kit can run a event.
I mean, it felt like in our area, we had it started out that way. It was oh, there's one here and then there's one there. But this month, it just felt like every store under the sun was oh, we're having ours this weekend and go.
Yeah, and I don't think that those stores will continue to support the game.
They might not.
Past it, and that's my issue.
Yeah,
so.
No, I agree. Even this weekend, for example, there's 7.
Yeah,
in one weekend.
It's ridiculous.
And it's you could have spread them out at least a little bit, because this was the only weekend I think that we had Saturday and Sunday, so even if they picked other weekends,
feels that way.
It would have still been better of oh, at least if someone couldn't make Saturday this week, they could have made it Sunday that week.
Yeah.
But this week it's well, there's 5 in one area, we have to just choose.
Right.
So, I agree there. How do you feel about the whole qualifications as a whole? Have top 16 at Origins, top 32 at Gen Con, and then the top player at every one of these qualifiers. How did you feel that as a whole was good for the game, or bad?
I think it's good for the game to have a lot of people qualified. I think it depends on...
Have a lot of opportunities to qualify?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know how exclusive you really wanted to make your first major event, so I can't really comment on that because that's really up to them how exclusive they wanted to make it. I understand why the top 32 at Gen Con made it instead of top 16.
Yeah.
It's because it was a logistical nightmare only because people were already qualified through other means, to Origins and other things. I don't think it was done that way because suddenly they wanted 32 people to qualify instead of 16.
There just wasn't a good way to do a pass down.
Right.
The answer would have been not to do pass downs, but then they get 5 less people.
Right.
6 less people, whatever it was.
Right. I mean, it's not up to me how exclusive you wanted it to be, and I guess in the end, it comes down to how many of the people that are qualified are actually going to show up for the Invitational, and if that number is literally everybody that's qualified.
Yeah, if it's 500 people.
Right, then then it has the opportunity to be a ridiculous number.
Yeah.
But given the fact that I don't think that's actually what's going to happen, I'm sure it's fine to basically have the last event of the year, the actual Invitational, be, I would assume, around 150 players when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I can put that in a good number.
So
it's hard to judge.
Yeah.
Like you said, there was 1,800 technical stores that could do it or something.
Something like that.
So there's no way it's going to be that.
Right. I know.
But,
I know.
When for example, they already announced they're going to release that list of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That list might be 400 people long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 400 people will make it the event. But we'll see.
If I had to do it again, and what I would do is
Commander in 2019
these, what we just did as Energon Invitational qualifiers, I would do is if you win one of these, you get a couple, the way they did the European one.
Yeah.
You would get a couple buys into a larger event, and then the top, I think 8. I think the top 8 qualified at that.
I think it was the top 8 that might have got the invite.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And so And this could be like
This could be for
monthly
the other things.
in a regional, like whatever it is.
Like this could be leading up to Origins. Like these events would happen, and you would get a buy or two at Origins or something.
I'm totally fine with the top 16 of the 2 major events making it.
Yeah.
I would just rather there be some way that these store level events matter, but that the thing that actually gets you qualified for the Invitational is a larger single event once a month, twice a month, whatever it is in an area.
Yeah.
So that's just the
I'm
system.
trying to like compare it to like WoW, because I know WoW is like top 8 of every Darkmoon Fair, top 16 of Nationals, or maybe top 32. No, I think it was like top 32 in Nationals. Or no, it was top 64, that's right. So it was top 64, and then like top 8 of all the DMFs, and then top 8 of all the Realm Champs.
For what, Worlds?
For Worlds.
I was never not qualified. So.
No, that's what I'm saying though, but like, they were all bigger events. Kind of like what you were saying, is like, you got your top 8, you got in. You got your top 64 National, you got in. It wasn't like, they didn't have like this level of, like a 20 person event gets you queued to Worlds. You know, like that didn't happen.
Yeah, I just think some way of making it, like, to be honest with you, like, I think some way of making these every single one of these local events matter. Like,
to everybody.
Like, you and I were queued, right, at Origins.
And we played every
right. So
event
every local that we played in,
it was just to play.
It was just to play, have a good time, test, whatever.
Yeah.
If we could still win 2 buys at the next whatever, even if we, again, were already qualified for something else, if that had certain levels of prizes, there'd be more of an incentive for people to
Everyone
play.
to go.
At
And it would have been better for all the stores anyway.
Yeah, and I still think people would have shown up to the stores if there's a reason to play beyond that. But I mean, it's just my opinion.
And it even slightly opinionated towards going into Gen Con. Like, people didn't go to Gen Con because they were queued from Origins. And it was like, well, I didn't go to Gen Con because, like, I'm queued. Like, if there was more incentive, maybe there's more incentive. I don't think you needed more incentive, but, you know.
More incentive to not go to Gen Con?
Yeah, exactly.
Seems like a mistake. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I don't know what more incentive.
No, I
want,
know. I know. All right. Well, I think we. How do you think, as a whole, it did though?
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said it before. Like, I wish there was more of a formalization around people reporting what the results were.
Yeah.
Selfishly from a website perspective, but just from a understanding a developing metagame perspective.
Yeah. It's very hard to pinpoint what actually did the best if you only have limited information.
Yeah. I mean,
like, you know, if you had more information of like how many Cliff Jumper decks really won all their events, like you could make an argument like, well, Cliff Jumper's not maybe the best card because it only won X events. But if you don't have enough reports, you have no idea.
Yeah, and I think there's an assumption of there's like these wide sweeping generalizations about cards and about metagames and about other things that people make with absolutely no data to back it up whatsoever. And I think I can't argue that with them because
You don't have it either.
Right.
Yeah,
I only know my own information.
Right.
Which
is biased or unbiased,
right,
whichever.
Right. But that, you know, like, yeah, if there was more information out there, we could make an educated.
If more people report it and there was just more information for everyone, it would be way easier to assess all of it.
And at the same time, if the format was closer to what I'm suggesting, players would be probably not just showing up and playing whatever at certain times, like terrible decks like I played today.
Yeah.
Things like that. So,
it happens.
So
it's on camera.
You know, so.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, let's move past it.
Sure.
It was a good season.
It was. I mean, I'm not.
It was a great season.
I'm not complaining about it at all.
No,
Like, I think
mean,
it was great, but I mean,
for me, I think it's the first year of the game.
Yeah,
And I think they wanted to reach as many players as possible, and they wanted to give as many players as possible to want to be at Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not against that. You know, in the first year of the game, the whole point of this first year was to get it out there and advertise it and give as many chances as others. So, like, I think as a whole, I'm totally fine with that.
I mean, my view is completely biased. I mean, you and I were qualified from the first time you were able to, so I know I'm biased.
Right.
But I mean, like,
But we still play it the whole time.
right,
Because why not?
right,
We love this game.
right.
All right, let's talk Siege 2.
Sure.
I know you've done plenty of talking on it already.
Yes. for a quarter of the cards, yes.
Let's start characters. Which character is jumping out at you already?
In terms of what?
Let's just say constructed.
Both weaponizers.
Okay.
New Optimus, new Megatron, new Kickback. The other Battle Masters that I've seen. especially the ones that don't become weapons.
Okay.
Not the My Little Pony.
Okay.
I think other characters out there have potential. I mean, you can listen to last week's tech talk. Like it's really long, but
over the next 3 weeks.
I think honestly, I believe the only characters I'm probably not excited for are the triple changers.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are the ones I can definitely pinpoint. I don't think.
All right. Well, let's pick one to talk about.
What?
Just pick any one of your cards that you just listed. One we'll talk about.
Let's talk about Megatron.
Okay.
I think people are undervaluing him.
Okay. What do you like about Megatron?
I like the fact that basically you can get his ability to go off in the middle of combat if you play it effectively on your opponent's middle of combat.
Right.
Which means if you set it up correctly, you can basically put them in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yep.
So if you attack their best guy, you're like, okay, like you put a weapon on Megatron, let's just get him to 7 or 8, whatever. Yep. Okay. And I think if you pump him before combat, that counts too. I'm not positive, but I think
it's
it
attack,
does.
so
Right.
it should.
Right. So
let's just get to 11.
Right. Let's just say you conservatively playing a blue deck, you conservatively get him to like 10 or 11.
10. Sure.
Right. Sure. So you attack their best guy, undamaged, whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm proccing this ability. Now they have more than, let's just say they have more than 10 health. Mm-hmm. They can put it on the guy you're attacking, which could KO him right away, or put 10 damage on him, or they can choose another guy and put it over there. Mm-hmm. I just think you can set up situations where, and remember, if the combat continues, because this is during when your opponent's defending, the combat's still going to happen.
Right. So in like a him versus Superion scenario, like he's gonna 20 Superion.
Yes.
Well, 20 in quotation marks.
But him versus any character, he can either double damage the guy he's attacking, or hit somebody else for a good amount of damage and then still get to attack.
Yeah.
So like
he's kind of comparable to like Grimlock.
Yeah.
You know, but instead of trample, it's like they get to just choose before damage instead of after.
Yeah, I don't understand like why people think this is not playable.
I don't know. I mean, he's 12 stars or 13 stars? 12 stars. So 12 stars for I guess the base 4 attack is like worrisome. But like in any deck, you know, he has 16 health.
But he's 6, 17, 3.
17 health,
on the alt side.
Right.
So you don't have to flip until you're in a situation where you know the ability's going to happen.
It's kind of like, well, it's not like Nemesis Prime.
It's like Cosmos.
It's exactly. Yeah.
But can kill 2 guys.
Right. So just 1, and it's not limited to start cost.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's a little bit better than people are leading on, and I think you can build him to be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to see it play out. Like,
right.
I think against like very wide decks with very small characters, his ability will be quote wasted. But it's the same thing like Grimlock.
In that situation, it's not wasted because you know Grimlock's going to kill 2 guys, where against them you're probably just going to kill the guy.
The guy you're attacking.
Yeah, so like you're going to, you know.
Yeah.
But I get that. I can get behind that.
But I just think you can play it in a way where like you concentrate on other characters, and so this giant amount of damage that you're going to be doing at once will go to one of those characters that like, out of nowhere suddenly it has to die because you did like little plasma bursts to it or things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I see it. I don't understand how people don't see it that way. But.
Yeah, like I said, and I think he's also probably meditating it. You know, against certain decks, he might just be insane. You know, like if Too Tall becomes a thing, and he's like, well, if I get to just automatically kill their guy, then great. You know? So, you know, like I said, against like combiners against Metroplex, like he just gets the 20 something. Like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about this.
You just have to set it up so that it happens during combat.
Yeah.
And there's ways to do that, to like have your opponent draw extra cards and things like that. So.
What about the battle cards?
They're not as interesting as it stands right now.
Yeah. I think there's like a couple that are like close maybes. You know? But
yeah.
I haven't seen one that like has like truly jumped out.
Like the 3 best ones I've seen are the promotion card that lets you swap a guy in play for a guy that's been KO'd. It's kind of like
a new I still function.
Yeah, but it's like an ISO function built in with like a quartermaster
Yeah.
for like swapping the weapons,
Yeah.
and swapping the items.
And the wording on it is very interesting too.
Yeah, it's really good with Battle Masters.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah. It just changed. I think it just changes the way you play the order in which you play the game, because you actively
Like generally, you were like attacking with Battle Master's first scenario,
right,
And now
would
you like want this guy to die,
right.
So yeah,
So I think that's the most powerful individual card from a playing the card perspective. I think the secret action that gives you +3 is like just
really good.
good.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
it's good.
I mean, like
It's gonna be good in the decks that want it.
I don't know how, like, you can't do much more on your turn than +3, +4 on a defensive deck. Like, I don't know what else you can ask for.
No, I agree.
And then I think the kinetic whip is really good.
That's the bold one or the
Yeah,
bold,
the
the
bold
bold
one.
one.
The
Yeah,
bold
I think it'll be interesting.
Because I think you can set up scenarios where you're getting, like, easily getting, like, bold 4
Yeah,
out of the deal. So, like, and +1 built in. So you're getting, like,
Yeah,
+1 and bold 4
yeah.
pretty easily.
And in decks that want to flip already.
Yeah, and it's a white, so like if you don't want to put any whites in your deck, but you want a weapon,
You get
it like doesn't
you
hurt
get
you.
it.
as long
It's
as you're
not
playing.
like field communicator that's specialist required.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just it's the only downside to it is like that you eventually might get in a situation where like the only way to flip is in a bad mode, but I don't see that happening very often. So
Which in some decks it's still fine because it's still
Yeah.
an innate +1 maybe.
Yeah.
Like it depends on the character obviously, but it
Yeah.
still might be good enough
Yeah.
as overall damage.
yeah,
Yeah.
if that's your thing. Like, I don't play a lot of like power punches and stuff, but if that,
No, yeah, I mean, it's not something, but like it's to me, it's just intriguing to add more whites to the game that can possibly be playable.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, Stefan.
Did you win?
All right, let's.
Crushing dreams.
I think I'm okay with that for now. But let's talk.
Overall?
Yeah,
Okay,
overall.
okay.
Let's talk the Energon Invitational. We just got the announcement last week.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is really not a surprise to us, but like a surprise to many is sealed.
Yep.
So, rounds 3, 4, and 5 are sealed.
Sure.
How much do you care?
Not at all.
Right. What can you?
Yeah, I care because I think it's positive.
Yeah, and I know you've covered this a little bit on the Tech Talk and stuff like that. But what else can you like tell people like why it shouldn't matter?
Sealed is a different set of skills. I think people look at sealed deck and assume that it's like completely luck based. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
The only downside to it in this format is I think in 6-pack you went out with like 36 battle cards because the Micromaster / Battlemaster takes up one of the card slots.
Mm-hmm.
So your decision about cutting cards is not as large as it would be if you had another 6 cards to work with.
I think we even covered this. Yeah, but you get more bots.
Yeah, I know.
And I think we briefly covered this before Gen Con. We did a couple, or for after Origins for like the release weekend of Siege, where like we were getting to the point when we were building our decks where like you had to like actually try to put cards in your deck.
Yeah.
So I think that's it's very different in this game than other games that I played in the past, where like you're forcing yourself to cut. In this game, you're forcing yourself to get there.
In Siege 1 anyway.
In Siege 1,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how
Yeah.
different it'll be with Siege 2, but I know
Yeah.
for Siege 1 it was very different than most seals that I had dealt with.
I just think you can't go into it assuming that there's any kind of like this is the right way to build a deck, like, you know, like, oh, I should be too tall with a 12 and a 13 if that winds up happening or something like that, like, or like walk into it being like expecting I'm gonna have 6 doubles in my deck. That's not gonna happen at all.
Yeah.
Like you'll be lucky if you even want to use the star to get any of the doubles that are in these 2 sets.
Yeah, I think my biggest reaction to it was that the overreaction based on so little information, once again, is like, all right, if people played sealed in their, their release event weekends, like that's a very limited time to actually play sealed for people to actually explore it. Not to mention people didn't have a reason to really go in and test and involve themselves in it. Mm-hmm. So like, to the outrage of being upset that it's there, to me is the biggest issue because like no one really knows what this format brings, and I trust WotC that has been planning this.
Yeah.
That they built a sealed unlimited version that they're comfortable saying, hey, we're going to make 3 rounds of this in our biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's my biggest thing with it. Overall, how do you think just being one day with a cut to top 8, you think that's what's best for the last tournament of the year?
That's a good question, because I think there's issues with the way that we cut to a top 32, but at the same and be single and with single elimination.
Yep.
I think
they're very different.
right.
So like those weekends are very different than this weekend, you know.
Right.
Now I can see like a world, like I'll just keep going back to WoW because we both played it. Like the way they broke down events was like day 1 they cut to another day, and then you played a whole other event that day, and then they cut to a top again,
No, that's like a DMF.
That's
like a
Worlds. Worlds was like day 1.
Oh yeah.
Worlds was like day 1, this format.
Yeah, you're right.
Cut to day 2, that format, and then cut to a top
right.
16.
You're right.
So
yeah, you're right.
Like,
I don't think they could logistically do well.
the only way they could have done it is if
not
they
have
want
LCQs.
is not have at PAX Unplugged, since
Yeah.
PAX Unplugged is only 3 days. If it was like at Gen Con that was 4 days, then you could do it differently. Because you could have Thursday LCQs and then Friday, Saturday, event, cut to top on Sunday. They could do it that way.
Yeah, that would be like having a pro tour, and if you didn't qualify, you had a Grand Prix.
Well, even at Worlds they do that. For WoW again, at Worlds you had a 3-day event, but if you didn't make the day 2 cut, they had another event that was still a major event at a DMF along with Worlds.
Yeah, and I think in the future
you could get to that.
you
point.
can do that.
Yeah.
And I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a side event thing that might. I don't think it'll be like as big, but like there's probably gonna be.
There'll definitely be side events.
Yeah, but you're right.
I mean, it's just a matter of like, since once again it's like the LCQs, unless there's like some weird side event that's not an LCQ on a Friday, for like the people that are qualified to play in, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that information. They haven't
Saturday.
really said that. No, on Friday. So like Friday's the LCQs, but if
Oh,
they
yeah,
did
yeah,
like
yeah.
a nice event on
Yeah.
Friday, like
Yeah.
for the people that are already qualified, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be something nice to play in.
Yeah, like a seal deck or something like that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree with
good.
that. Speaking of Steel Deck, what do you think the odds of more limited in the future?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's
Like, would you be happy with like an Origins having a limited event
sure.
instead of just having constructed a limited?
Yeah, assuming that the sets are made with that in mind. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, if the releases line up correctly. Like, say if we were to get a release weekend and that was it.
Doesn't have to be release weekend.
No, I'm just saying, like, but if they lined it up that way, it doesn't have to be, but
I just think as long as the sets are balanced, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
any final thoughts, Sarah?
No, you can listen to me my thoughts all the time. So
That's fair.
I'm good.
All right, thanks for sitting down.
Thanks,
Easy
man.
out.
Good seeing you.